Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the studios of Grafton Community Television. I have two guests in studio today, and they are Shannon Phelan and Anne-Marie Foley. And today's topic is the Sustainable Grafton Group. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're going to talk about Sustainable Grafton, all the things you ladies do, and we have a number of topics we want to touch on. So tell everybody about Sustainable Grafton. I only know it as a Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out it's bigger than that. So why don't you introduce the idea?
Yes, thanks, Bob. So, a number of years ago, maybe more than 5 years ago, I think I started the Facebook group. It was called Green Up Grafton at the time, and now we've kind of subsequently changed it to Sustainable Grafton, which aligns with other towns around us. So there's Sustainable Westboro, Sustainable Upton, Sustainable Hopkinton. So it's trying to kind of align with other groups. And so there is a Facebook group, and it's pretty active. We have a lot of folks on there. But then additionally, maybe in 2023 or 2022, we started a committee. So we're looking at trying to do it through the town. And then, in fact, we just ended up doing it as an ad hoc type committee. So we meet with relative frequency in terms of, about monthly. Sometimes it's every other month. Our meetings are not very long. We're pretty task-oriented in terms of like what someone might have as a hot topic on any given month. So there is a committee. We're happy to have folks join the committee. We probably have a group of maybe our email distribution is like 20 or 30 folks.
I was just about to ask how big is.
Yeah, and at any given meeting, we might have, 10 to 15 people show up. Completely open to whatever a member has as an interest in terms of something that we might want to, go down a certain route. So we're not televised. We are working on potentially getting a website up and going. So in addition, because again, Facebook isn't for everybody, but we had to wait a little bit to get some funding to get that going. So right now there's a Sustainable Grafton Facebook group. You can look forward to at some point in the hopefully next couple of months, a website, and then we'll give the email address later if folks want to just get involved.
Okay. Even if you did?
Well, I would just add that, the point of it is to work on environmentally related topics and sustainability topics. So we've got a whole suite of things that we're working on depending on what people's interests are. And I'm sure we'll talk about a couple of the main ones today. But so if anybody has, a topic that they want to learn more about or they're interested in helping to educate others, it's a great place to share it.
Okay. All right, so we have a shopping list to go down, so we'll go right up from the top. Earth Day event. So what does that entail?
Yeah, so we have now done 2 Earth Day events, and we're planning for the next one. We don't start planning until the new year, but we've had some really nice attendance. The first 2 years we aligned with when the Grafton Garden Club was doing their cleanup, so a lot of people on the common and kind of support both groups. So
I'm sorry, but that's where people come and they take a trash bag and they go to different parts of. Okay, all right.
Yep.
I remember that. I've taken part.
Yeah. So our Sustainable Grafton group, we have brought in a number of different groups. People like, the Burn Coat.
The Burn Coat Center for Wellness that does bulk refills of things like shampoo and soap. Control Point.
Yep. Control Point has been great.
HVAC, plumbing, electrical.
Alpacas have been there.
Reimagined Roots is a local company that does like native plants and vegetable gardens. So we're really trying to work with local businesses to promote that.
And they're helping fund projects, so they're actually participating.
So we throw it out to a number of folks. The first year we might have had 8 or 10 booths, I would say, and similar this year, maybe more like a dozen. Just kind of throwing it out there to various groups that kind of align with sustainability and environmental issues. So there's no fee. Folks just set up there with with a booth. It's mostly informational. Gain was there this year, so they actually were selling their flowers. And they actually, were very successful. We do a recycling information booth. So the first year we had someone, a gentleman and his son, and they just basically dumped out a recycling can and kind of educating folks like what is recyclable, which is versus what is not. This year we did that a little bit more in terms of giving information out to folks. So just a myriad. The honey guy, the gentleman comes with the honey, a myriad of different folks participating. So certainly if anyone's out there is interested in being a vendor, so to speak, we're open to that, of course. And then we are planning on doing it again next year. It's been a nice event. Yeah.
Okay. Rodenticides.
That's me. So we started kind of a local subgroup, started in Sustainable Grafton, and then we named it Save Grafton Wildlife. And that was to align with other groups across the state that have similar initiatives. So what it is we're a local group, and we're kind of under the guidance of Mass Audubon. And what we're working to do is to reduce the use of certain rodenticides, that's rat or mouse poisons. It's a long name, they're known as second generation anticoagulant rodenticides, or SGARs. And so I first learned about this maybe like a year and a half ago. I had no idea that seeing all the little black bait boxes around structures, I had no idea what was inside of them. But one of the most commonly used chemicals are these SGARs, and they have very detrimental effects on wildlife because they work their way up the food chain. So predators such as hawks and owls and eagles, coyotes, foxes, you name it, they're bioaccumulating and it's biomagnifying through the food chain. So we are trying to educate people about all the many alternatives that are available. We recently participated in a lobby day at the State House with a lot of other towns from Massachusetts. And our focus now is going to be just trying to get the word out, outreach, talking to local businesses. But we were successful thanks to Anne-Marie and the select board support and the town administrator's office. We were able to get them restricted on town-owned property.
Mm-hmm.
So municipal center, police stations, schools, anything that the town owns, they're not supposed to be using these rodenticides anymore, which is a great first step. That's a big win. And then also at town meeting, again, thanks to the help of the town administrator and the select board, we were able to put a warrant article that passed at town meeting this past year. So that warrant article was to submit what's called a home rule petition, so that Grafton in the future, Grafton residents can vote to restrict these rodenticides on private property if they so choose. So it gives us the option in the future to vote for that. It doesn't say they're going to be banned or restricted, but it's a step in the right direction.
So the first thing that popped into my head when I read the word rodenticide was, is there a rodent problem in town?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, not.
No, that's good news.
Yeah, and not according to the Board of Health and
Okay.
other people that I've talked to. I mean, of course, individual locations might have,
Sure.
might have a short-term infestation or something that they're working on. But overall, it's even the city of Boston, which we all know has a significant rat problem. They've even phased out the use of these SGARs, and city of Newton hasn't used them in 10 years. So, it's really a movement that's picking up speed across the state and across the country. So that's what we wanted to work on. And we've got a great group of maybe, 10 of us core volunteers on that project. We have a Facebook group, and anyone who's interested in helping is welcome.
So you had to go and learn everything about rodenticide
Right.
prior to tackling this.
Right. So it's been a year and a half of learning, but there's a great support network through Mass Audubon and through other local groups who have gone through this process before. So that was a big help. And once I started, going, it was very easy to keep it moving. So we're lucky in Grafton that we have Tufts Wildlife Clinic right in town.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the primary researchers on this issue of the SGARs is working out of Tufts Wildlife Clinic.
Okay.
So some of the most well-known studies, they found 100% of red-tailed hawks that were surveyed at the clinic contained these rodenticides. So then that's 100%. That's pretty significant. So we're lucky that we have them right here. So it's been great so far.
Great support. So coal tar. That's another one. What is coal tar?
Yeah, so coal tar, there was a member, I think back in 2021, he successfully petitioned the town. And again, this went to town vote. And we currently have a bylaw out that we're not allowed to use coal tar products. It's a type of asphalt. It's a type of what you put on your driveway. Sealant, sorry.
Oh, okay. So the homeowner gets the 5-gallon bucket. Okay, gotcha.
Exactly. So this member was successful in having the town pass a bylaw relative to this. And so what we are trying to do or have been trying to do is just kind of educating folks about it. So again, at the Earth Day event, we've typically had a booth relative to that. Not a lot of homeowners know when they call up a vendor what they're putting as sealant, right, on their driveway. So, the onus is a little bit on the owner. And then what we're hoping is that vendors would get to know that, oh, by the way, Grafton has a bylaw relative to this, so we're not allowed to put that sealant on the driveway. I guess typically if there's an odor, that smell, that's the
bad one.
The carcinogen. Yeah.
So how many different options are there for homeowners if they want to seal their driveway?
So that's the thing. We don't, I don't know if there is a list currently we're relying kind of on conservation to push this out a little bit. I know that there's one business 508 sealant, or 508 is
part of their
their business name that I'm aware of that actually abides by this. But certainly as homeowners, ideally ask if this is what you're getting put on your driveway. And the goal of Sustainable Grafton is, again, to try to push more information out about this and who the proper vendors are in our area that are not using this as a product. And my understanding is if you go to like a Home Depot or a Lowe's, I believe it's not in those products, but right? Yeah.
That's my understanding. Yeah. I'm not an expert on it by any means, but I don't think it's available to consumers.
Yeah. So that was, again, one of our members. It was something that he was, interested in and had done a lot of research on. So folks want to look into, there is a bylaw on the books again about it, and, happy to put anyone in touch with this particular member. So, but just at least giving the info that we have actually banned it in the town of Grafton, which is great. Similar to the SCARs, there is a movement in the state. And I believe the bill has been sitting there for a little bit relative to this. So the hope is that just like plastic bags and styrofoam, et cetera, the more communities that get on board with these things, the more pressure we put on a state to try to regulate some of this.
Okay. So there's an easy one, composting.
Yeah, so just wanted to highlight that, I think Sustainable Grafton, we've really tried to do what we can to push out the notion of composting. It will be even more important as we're now looking at revisiting our trash collection and how that's going to look in the next couple of years. But composting is huge in terms of reducing the amount of waste that you're putting in your trash. And there's so many reasons, to compost versus sending stuff to the landfill. But what we've been effective in doing is pushing out the curbside composting. The town has signed on where we are offering free bins and free bags for a year. And there's still plenty up at the DPW that we are happy to push out. We use Black Earth Compost as the curbside composting company that I had kind of researched years ago. And so now the town is sponsoring that program in terms of, offering the free bins and bags, which is great. And then you just pay the every 6 months, I believe it's around $80 if you do every other week for curbside composting. And I can just say for me personally, I have a small household now, granted, but I don't put trash out but every 2 to 3 weeks. I do a lot of composting for sure. So we push that out through DPW and the town in terms of offering those incentives. Additionally, the school is now doing composting as well as the senior center. Last I checked with Jay at the schools, I'm not sure how vibrant that they're still working on rolling it out. But my understanding is that the senior center, they're killing it over there with their composting efforts. Yeah. So, those are even bigger ticket areas, right, to reduce the amount of waste versus individuals. Additionally, the town last year provided a discount on just regular backyard compost bins. So I think they were $20.
Yeah, that was
quite inexpensive. So if somebody doesn't want to pay for the service, again, for me, it's easy. I just put it out to the curb and somebody takes it. But we do have the compost bins. We might be all out of those as of now, but in the spring, kind of in alignment with the Earth Day event, we will hopefully be buying more of those backyard composting. But just generally trying to push out information relative to the benefits of composting in general. And then additionally, as we look at how we're going to be paying for our trash, it's a huge way to reduce your trash, what you're putting out there. Meat can go in the composting bins, eggshells, tea bags, bones, things that you can't get rid of otherwise.
Yeah, I have 2 little girls and 2 dogs and a very busy household, and we only generate 1 bag of trash a week, maybe, even when our little one was in pull-ups. So it really does significantly reduce the amount that goes to the landfill and the amount that the taxpayers have to pay to have picked up.
So let me interrupt you. When you refer to trash, you're referring to organic matter that can be put into composting, not milk cartons and plastic containers and
Correct.
2 different things. Because I know some people say, well, that's trash, and what do we call this? But
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Anything edible or cardboard can be yard waste, can be composted. And one thing I'd love to do in the future is maybe have some sort of a workshop with a local hardware store or a handyman or something to just how to build your own compost bins, right? If you don't want to buy a backyard.
The drum?
Yeah, the drum type thing. My husband just built the 3 bins in the backyard. So, that probably cost less than $50 to make. So I think that would be a great initiative as well.
We get him to show people on video how to make a bin.
Yeah, you could do it on
Push the idea home.
Maybe someone else. Mine doesn't have that many right angles.
Linda's at home saying, wait, what?
But it's certainly not difficult, and it doesn't have to be fancy to work.
This is my favorite item, the Tree Hugger Project. I'm going to need more information on that.
Yeah, so the Tree Huggers kind of stem. There's a small group of us that have taken this on, where I wanted to try to identify trees in town of some significance for whatever reason. I think that, folks, for example, when Institute Road, when that development went in there, folks all of a sudden realized, like, oh my goodness, all those trees that we noticed, but you notice more when they're gone. So just trying to highlight trees in town over a course of however many years. And the idea, so we have 10 trees that we've identified, and I did kind of bring to leave with you a little bit about what we came up with. So we've taken photos of the trees, we've measured them, we've looked at things like, how much water runoff are we reducing because of this tree? What's the CO2 imprint? All those types of great things, ozone removal, nitrogen dioxide, removal, and then kind of came up with like a tree value based on some of these criteria. So we have 10 trees identified. We have 7 of which we've done all of this work for. Last year at Grafton Celebrates the Holidays, we did have Sustainable Grafton had a table up at the Harvest Barn. And so we had this information just on the trees. And actually one of them is right outside here at GCTV, that beautiful tree out the back between here and the Municipal Center. So that was kind of one of our first ones that we identified, especially in the fall. It's just, it's
gorgeous.
Yeah. So
it's actually over my shoulder.
Oh, is it that way? Okay. My sense of direction, fairly. So for Grafton Celebrates the Holidays, we kind of highlighted 4, gave these out to families, kids, whoever wanted them to go take a look at the tree and then, read a little bit about what that tree is doing for our environment. So the 4 last in December was that one because folks are up here at the Municipal Center. There's one on the Common, just one of those big old, beautiful trees. The one by the old fire station behind the country store. And then another one on the Common that's the same tree as just a smaller version as the one outside the fire station. So we have other ones. We have one up at Nelson that is a couple of really impressive trees up by the Nelson Library. There was an apple tree over at Airport Road, and we have a few more. So we still have to kind of finish this project up. And then what we're hoping to do is put a QR code or some sort of a little tag near the tree where you can then get this information. So far we're just looking at trees. People have offered trees on their property, which is fabulous because a lot of folks have great trees. And that's great. Maybe down the road we do that, but people are going to be coming to look at these trees ideally, right? So we're kind of just keeping them on public property for now. And then hopefully once we get these 10 out with the information relative to them, maybe on our website and or as little QR codes or something of the sort, we'll kind of grow on that. There's another great tree over at the cemetery right across from here as well that Daryl has told me that the state has kind of identified as a tree that we want to make sure we, keep track of. So yeah, that's our tree huggers.
Yeah, the state has a heritage tree program. So some of these are probably on there. But I was also going to say that for all of these trees that we know about and you can see from public rights of way, who knows how many there are like back in the woods, on private properties that we don't see. But the whole point is appreciation of of how mature old trees, how much value they provide to the community. And, something you might not think about every day is that, you can't replace an old mature tree with 5 young ones. It's not the same. There's not the same relationship there. So we're talking about in the future possibly working on a tree ordinance for the town to possibly protect mature trees, or at least provide incentives to protect them on private land, such as before development. Like if a subdivision's going in, maybe there's some way we can work with the developer to preserve the best old mature trees, because wiping them all down and then coming in with, the little baby trees from the nursery, it doesn't equate the same value.
Yeah, you get 30 years out waiting for it to...
Exactly.
Okay. The triangle.
The triangle. The triangle...
Not a math question.
The triangle is what we've been affectionately calling the area at the intersection of 122 and 140. There's a parcel of state-owned land. It's owned by Mass Department of Transportation. And so we recently just signed an agreement for an adopt-a-site. So Sustainable Grafton has adopted that site. It's also a dedicated Veterans Square. So there's a flag there. And we are putting in a native plant garden. Also, people are also calling it a pollinator garden, which is fine. But it's in line with one of our initiatives to promote native plants and the benefits that they can provide for integrating them into your landscape. And we've gotten a lot of volunteer interest, so hopefully we will have enough to keep everybody busy, but we're hoping to start planting and seeding this fall. That's the best time to do native plant seeds. And we're hoping to have some workshops just to get resources out there if people want to convert parts of their lawn to maybe a mini meadow or just native plants. We want to help people do that. I do want to mention that we were very lucky we received a grant from the Tufts Community Grant Program. They were very generous in giving us a grant to help us afford supplies for this project. So we really appreciate that. And the grant comes out again, I think, spring of next year. So I spoke to them. They're really encouraging local nonprofits to apply in Grafton. So for next year.
And additionally, to add, the state is potentially going to use this as an example of, what can be done with this as an idea, like perhaps in medians and the highways and whatnot. So the state's been great in terms of their support of this project. And we're going to tackle, we say the triangle because it's kind of the first little triangle as you're coming towards the common. And then the tree part of it for now, kind of leave that as it is, and we can kind of see where we go in the future. And then for the next 5 years, Sustainable Grafton will be responsible for upkeep of that area. So we've kind of taken that on as a committee. So we're definitely interested in people who might want to volunteer with the planting, this initiative, and then we'll have 5 years worth of time for folks to get involved.
People with a green thumb.
Yeah.
Or not. I mean, there's plenty of other opportunities to help out, like even with just we would love to get a website. If anybody has website experience, they can just get something up and running. We would love to have different workshops, like maybe a winter sow workshop where you sow the native seeds like in milk jugs, and then they sprout the following spring. So even if you don't have a green thumb, but you're just interested in general, that we could use help with that.
Okay.
In that particular little area, at times it's an eyesore. It looks good right now. There's been some work done to it, and then we're going to do some more in the fall. But we thought it would be a nice spot to tackle kind of coming into the town.
Mhm.
And that's not to say that we won't, there's other places too that we're having to look at. Yeah.
Better start somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. Closing thoughts?
One thing I just want to throw out is our email address. So it's sustainable.grafted@gmail.com. So there is someone who looks at that every day and will respond. So if anyone's interested in getting involved in the short run, additionally, as I said, there's the Facebook group Sustainable Grafton. But if you're in particular want to get involved in this triangle project that's coming up, we will be looking for volunteers, obviously. So sustainable.grafton@gmail.com.
Good.
Yeah.
And the email address and the Facebook post, I'll call it, will be on the screen through the magic of television when we get finished.
Great.
And so that wraps everything up, I think.
Yeah.
Our guests today have been Anne-Marie Foley and Shannon Phelan from Sustainable Grafton. And this video will be available on the local channels and on our YouTube page here in Grafton. So thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. On behalf of all the talented people that work here at GCTV, I'm Bob DeToma. Thank you for watching.